Now is your time to flinch.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the 13th floor, where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are amazing. I am your moderator, B. Jones, and the furniture is moving on the 13th floor, ladies and gentlemen. We are transitioning the show. Last week we got into finding your own lane. It was crazy how organic it was, especially after we got off the podcast. We realized that we had not necessarily been neglecting, but just kind of touching on a lot of issues that were really important to us and getting our male perspective, our Black male perspective out there on some issues. And then we just realized, this is actually our lane that we can get in and dominate. So I want to welcome you back to the new 13th, or welcome you to the new 13th floor, where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are amazing. Before we get into the show, I got to introduce my guys, man. We got a full cast on here today, man.
Big six.
First up, Mr. Logistics, our resident administrator, educator. He's going to be taking over a larger portion of the show today, so I know he's ready for that. But BJ, what's going on, bro?
Everything's good, man. Another day to get out there and help change lives. Let's make it happen, man.
Easy. Before I get to, Mr. Sex in the City over there, he's over there chomping at the bit to get his song out here. I'm gonna go to T.I., man. Welcome back to the show, man. We're gonna get into you a little bit today as well.
Always good to be back, man. I appreciate it.
Easy. So, Mr. Sex in the City, phase on. What you got for us today, man?
All right, man. Well, there's a man with no future. It seems he can't live out his dreams. Now he's trapped, thinking he won't succeed. But he can't believe. Live your life today, not for tomorrow. That is your neighborhood trash man, Rock. How y'all doing today? Hope y'all had a great time listening. Yes, I threw it back to Rock. So all those to listen and watch that show for, I think it was about 3 or 4 seasons. Yes, CSI started with Rock. So, welcome. I'm glad you guys are all here. You get to see all of us, get to hear us. And remember to subscribe, share with a friend, and enjoy the show, audio or visual. We're here to please.
Hey, man, I don't know where you be pulling these things out of your hat, man. Well, actually, we're not even going to go there right now.
Let him tell the secrets. Let that man do what he do.
Well, yeah, it's just literally, I remember growing up, and I will pass off, but I remember growing up watching these shows. So these are all the shows that I got to see that were all fighting for the same time slot, unfortunately, which is why some got canceled. But yeah, they were good shows. Good shows, man.
I'm gonna keep putting these joints down on my notepad so I can go ahead and check them out, after the podcast. Next up, DJ Barry B Fresh. What you got for the people today, bro?
I'm just gonna keep it short and blissful. I'm excited that I'm getting more Instagram followers and people tuning in, getting fresh-evated, and being able to keep their excitement and motivation up. Other than that, I'm happy everyone's tuned in. Happy we finally live and direct. Y'all can see this beautiful face and everyone else. We out here. We are live. We are direct. We excited. Let's get it in.
Let's get it in, man. And last but not least, the prolific orator, Carol. What's happening, my brother?
Fame. I'm going to live forever. I'm going to learn how to fly. I feel it coming together. People will see me and cry. Fame. I'm good. What's happening, brother?
All is well, man. Glad to be here.
Now that's a song.
Movie or TV show?
And a TV show.
I was like, movie or TV show? Which one?
TV show.
Both.
TV show.
Yeah.
Go ahead and start the education process so we can go ahead and get it out the way and move on.
Reality. Hey, well,
very true.
Now that I can talk, so for those of you that don't know what Rock, the show, that was with Charles.
That's true.
And Rocky, what was his name? Rocky Carroll, I think his name was.
Mm-hmm.
Rocky Carroll, yeah.
Wow.
Rocky Carroll.
Yep.
You can do that hip little dance move, that little slide
sure
thing when you get mad.
His foot, little one kick.
That was my joint.
Nope.
Hey, T.I. has no idea. T.I. has no idea who we're talking
Smiling and just.
No, y'all talking about, you said Rocky Carroll.
Exactly. Rocky Carroll.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. Yeah.
Rocky Carroll. Yeah.
Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. We got the introductions out the way. We got another great podcast lined up for you today, man. We're going to be tackling a little bit of a social issue amongst the community and with education, man. That's where BJ is going to come in. But before we get into that, man, we first have to welcome back our beloved intern, man. Or I don't know, maybe not welcome back. He might be just having half a foot in the door right now. But Jay, you know, you had a little hiatus, man. Were you able to find your team?
Wow.
Dang. On the first visual one though, like you just gonna throw that out there, you know what I mean? It wasn't no disclaimer, you know what I mean? No, man, I was you had to take a minute because I was catching up on some schoolwork I had. You know, it's the grind never stops, so I was just doing some of that.
Okay, man. Well, you know, continue to do what you got to do, man, to get back in Carol's good graces, man. I hear he loves cookies. Yeah, cookies are like his thing, bro. But how was the go live this week, man? I'm sorry I missed it.
No, it was great. It was great. Today this past Sunday we hit on fear of failure. Man, the show really is helping me a lot. It's making me reflect. It's making me look back over my life and really holding myself accountable. And then like just the feedback we're getting, the suggestions we're getting for the show, or the requests, or the people engaging and actually talking to us through the live feed. It's just been great feedback, man. So I'm just grateful for everybody that's tuning in and checking us out.
Hey, I was just curious. Does this show help you?
I'm just curious.
It's just a question. You can answer it.
Ah, man. Yeah.
It's crazy. He got like, it's like, so my son does that, man. That's like, it's crazy. It just popped up. He asked I asked him a question. He just looked like, dang, am I supposed to answer this? Or am I supposed to just take it and get in trouble?
I never know how to, like, whenever Kay asks me a question, man, I never really know if it's a solid answer supposed to be delivered or just
it's a thought process.
Just
you
take
need to exactly absorb
just
this.
Take it and walk away. You know what I mean? Just take it and walk away.
Just step into the vortex. Step into
Exactly.
Step lightly, young man. Step lightly, man. Hey, man, I got a question for you guys, man. Before we get into BJ's topic or whatever. So I was going to the doctor's office, and you know, when I go to the doctor's office or dental office or whatever, I've spoken about it before on the podcast where me and my lady, once she finishes dental school, we talking about opening up our own dental practice. So when I go to the offices and everything, I'm really paying attention to how the offices run. So how the services, the layouts, all of these things, you know what I'm saying? Because I want to make sure I pull, you know, from good places and have, you know, good ideas and make sure my office is, you know, set up. You know what I'm saying? Just learning tricks of the trade. So I go to the doctor's office a couple weeks ago, man. And, you know, one of my biggest pet peeves when I go into the doctor is the whole hurry up and get there. And then you got to sit and wait for forever to even be seen. So this particular office, you know, they have the rule, and I think this is something that I wouldn't incorporate as well, where if you're like 20 or 30 minutes later, 15 minutes later, something like that, and you don't call beforehand or call like 24 hours beforehand to cancel your visit or something, you got to pay like a fee, like a $50 fee. So I'm wary of that before I get there. And so I'm usually there like 10, 15 minutes early or whatever, but I get there this time. I'm there early or whatever, fill out my paperwork, it's the first time or whatever. But then I'm just sitting in the waiting room, kicking it for like 30, 40 minutes or whatever. So when the doctor comes, first thing I ask him is, you know, so when am I gonna get paid my $50 fee? Because that's what they would charge me, you know what I'm saying, if I was late. So I wanted to get you guys to take on it, man, because I mean, I didn't think I was stepping out of line. It was definitely a segue into a deeper conversation or whatever, kind of lighten the mood. But like, I was kind of serious, man, because I mean, I just sat here for 30 minutes, and if I had been late, he was gonna be trying to charge my credit card for that $50. So what do y'all think about it?
Hey, so what kind of doctor was this?
Oh, this is a podiatrist.
Oh, so it was a foot doctor?
Yeah.
Okay. If it was a general physician and you were a little bit older, I would tell you might want to be careful because it might be time for that prostate check.
And it's okay. You want to take as much time as possible for that one.
No, actually, man, like I'm not even worried about the prostate check. Man, I had that done like when I was 25, when I was in Florida, just because like the doctor was like, hey, I have a friend who was in med school, and so he was like recommending the early checkups or whatever. And this is when I first got a decent paying job. I got real health insurance. So I'm going to the doctor. I'm like, hey, what about this prostate exam? Not really knowing what all is entailed or whatever, and then got my mind blown or whatever. So. Yeah, not too worried about that. The next time.
Like pressure.
Said, oh, I got you. I'm gonna let you know what it is. I got you. Oh yeah. Nurse, get the Vaseline, please.
No, but as far as like the whole like you hurry up and get there and wait. Like I work at a pediatric office, so I deal with that. Like parents coming in, and the problem is, man, like if you don't know how many people came before you that were late, and then that pushes the doctors back, and then so like a lot of it is not necessarily on you. It's or on them as well. It's other people that play a factor.
The snowball effect.
But you know what?
Yeah, it really does.
I've seen good doctors and I've seen good practices where, for instance, EJ, she's currently pregnant right now. So going to a doctor and seeing that the setup where if someone is late or they're running behind, the doctor has people who, before you see a doctor, let me see somebody. Walk into a room, let somebody walk in, check my blood pressure, check something, so that I feel that even if you're running late, the time is already moving because someone's doing some work, or I'm already doing the urine test, or doing this test, or doing whatever. But just sitting in a room by yourself waiting, that's like the worst. That is the worst. Someone needs to talk to me. I understand.
Exactly, and that was the exact situation, man. Because I can definitely understand if it's a full waiting room, like I kind of expect to be delayed a little bit, but it's me and like one or two other people in here, so it's like, why am I waiting 30 or 40 minutes? And if your schedule is that backed up, I mean, maybe you need to be looking at what you have going on, and don't be trying to charge me $50 if I'm coming late, man. Like if you're gonna be late, how you gonna charge me? Like
you gotta pass. You gotta pass.
They need to be able to notate your account and wait a minute.
Let me get that discount.
One pass, exactly. You get one pass, no copay on this one. You can go ahead and go through. But it's honestly, like you said, it's a teachable moment for yourself to look for ways to implement. I think
exactly a better
in
system.
Any business. It's good to have those touch points, especially if you are in a business such as a doctor, a dentist, where you are going to pretty much know that you are going to incur wait times for your clientele. Right. That it's about understanding and making sure that there are touch points and contact points with those patients or clients in order to make them still feel welcome, even when there are those down moments. So being able to know when they come in, you're greeting them. There's things for them to do in the waiting area, just like Art said. Once they're going to the back, there's somebody who can do some simple things to make them feel like something's going on, taking their blood pressure, doing whatever. But then also after they've been sitting there for 5-10 minutes, that somebody else comes back in and can maybe discuss a little deeper what their main issue is that day or whatever's going on, in order to continue to make that patient feel like they are involved in the process instead of sitting by themselves.
All right, so I got 3 things. 1, hi, Maddie.
Before you go, okay, did we see remember the thing we saw in the news where the mom came in?
That it was the CNN interview with in the back.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
2, I have a suggestion for the dental office: PlayStation and Xbox.
Okay, have they never done that? Okay, why have they never done it?
No, they have. So I went to the best dentist I ever did as a kid, and they had arcade games, broken arcade games. Like broken as in like there's no cord needed. You press the start button, no problem. And that was like the highlight of the dentist
you know what? When I had my eye doctor in Fairbanks, Alaska, the same thing. I remember that used to be the funnest time because you go to this office and he would have like Pac-Man that you could play as much as you want. It didn't even matter if the game was good or not. It was just the fact that you could sit there and waste time
The
Play
time
it
will
for
go by,
free.
you won't even think about it.
That's actually a really good suggestion, especially if you got like some of them Pac-Man vintage games
Yep.
or whatnot
Yep.
for those people. Because I ain't trying to be on there playing no Call
I'm
of
a-
Duty,
but
man.
look,
I'm not that.
I'm gonna tell you even cheaper. You could set up like 4 or 5 flat screens, and
Right.
you can get. They have the new arcade things where they're like $100 for something that has every Sega, Nintendo,
Yeah.
every old game
Like the
system
whole
that you
package.
just have like 4 of those set up, and literally people could just go in there, here, play Nintendo, play Super Nintendo, play Genesis, whatever it is, and it would be easy to entertain them. They could sit there and have a good time because they'll be able to play with their kids and reminisce on the old days. Like, this is what Super Mario used to look like. Oh my God, he looks just like Squares. What is that?
Minecraft.
This is what we call 8-bit graphics.
Right. And then here's my third thing. So Jay, since you work at the pediatrician, do you get priority scheduling for your appointments?
The truth comes out.
I
Oh, so we just go. Okay, this is what's gonna happen. This the whole show.
Exactly.
This show about education or this show about Ti? You know what I mean?
Educating the world
There
on
is a
TI.
T.
It's also the
No.
Welcome Back. It's also
Okay.
the Welcome Back
Okay.
TI podcast. I was gonna do Welcome Back Carter at the beginning
Hey, that would have been a nice drop. That'd have been a nice drop.
next week.
Next week, easy, man. So after the levity of that situation and me and the doctor having a decent laugh, even though I really did want my $50, we we got on the subject of education somehow, some way, man. I don't remember exactly what it was, but this man who I will leave out having to be a 45 supporter.
Hey Brett.
And
Hey Brett.
yeah.
I'm sorry, bro. Go back. What's wrong with your feet, man?
dang it, I thought I made it out. I thought I made it out the woods. You know what I
That's
mean?
my
track
man,
and
Coach
everything.
K.
He ran track.
Don't
Got
try
bad
to.
ankles.
You're trying to skip an important part of the story.
I did.
Let's talk about that gangrene.
No, man, it ain't really gangrene.
You got
But nah, no bunions, man. It's just that annoying toenail fungus, bro. Like it's trying to take over. So I got to get that junk, removed.
Right now, it's
quickly.
fighting the captain. It's
Right.
I'm the captain now.
Hey, listen, man. I got the treatment like 2-3 weeks ago. I got 2 more to go. The junk hurts. It's like getting it's like getting a tattoo, but like times 10. And I have plenty of tattoos because it's a laser, man. It's basically burning you. And I got brands. I have tattoos, but it's like it's annoying,
area.
man. Like it's annoying, and it's a small area with a lot of nerves. So you just like it's like 1,000 pins and needles just sticking you or whatever.
Like getting your teeth clean.
No, that's not hurt.
It's not.
What?
No, it doesn't
Why
hurt.
is it hurt?
I hate
Yeah.
it. That's a whole other topic. Never mind.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
something's
wrong.
Something's
Yeah,
wrong.
so a couple more treatments, and a year later, I'll have I'll be back to my French track feet or whatever. But anyway, moving right along.
Were you about to say French manicures?
No, French manicures, but I'll actually be
track
fresh
feet.
track feet.
Get them buffed.
Oh.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You gotta take care of your feet, man. They take care of you.
You do.
But yeah, so we somehow got on the topic of education. And so me and this dude are going kind of back and forth, man, because he makes the bold statement that, our 45th president is going to be looking to get reelected, and one of the major ways that he's going to do it. Oh, that's how we got on the subject, because I was talking about Mike Panache 5, how I used to work with mentoring programs when I was back in Miami, and how we were kind of looking forward to doing that, with our group. And then he was
Shout out
like,
to Deacon Root, bro.
yeah, man, he'll make it back on here someday. He's out there, training his next Hall of Fame pitcher,
Right?
or what have you. But shout out to Mike D. Nothing but heat. But yeah, so we were talking about that, and he was saying how he thinks Trump is going to utilize that type of program in the inner cities to, with Betsy DeVos being the Secretary of Education or whatever, to try and utilize that to win the African American vote in the next election. And so I gave him a swift side eye because I don't necessarily think that, our 45th president is going to do a whole lot of anything that is going to directly benefit, that community. However, he is a very smart businessman. He did somehow manage to, win over enough folks to get into the White House. So he definitely knows his strategy. And if it's coming from Steve Bannon, it could happen. But then he went as far to say how the charter school system should overtake the public school system, and then to allow some sort of voucher program so that the parents or whoever have choices. And so, I challenged him on it because I personally feel like, especially after having a little bit of an education from BJ, who's going to jump on in a minute, but I definitely feel like the charter schools, they can't really replace the public schools because one, the infrastructure isn't all the way set up. And if you talk about the funding and everything that goes into it, and BJ's going to hit on this as well, like from what I understand and know, it comes from the same place. So I don't necessarily know how that is a quick fix instead of, investing into the public school system and giving it the resources, not just to rebuild the facilities, but to, hire qualified teaching personnel and people who are really passionate about teaching instead of, the college graduate who just can't find a job, who's just here for a paycheck. So, we went around and talked a few statistics on how America spends more per capita on its education system, yet we're like somewhere down the bottom. And you can throw out the numbers and everything, but at the end of the day, the education system, it afflicts in a negative way certain communities, and those are for specific reasons. So, I'm gonna throw it to BJ, man. You can pick up wherever you want to in that, you might want to start from the beginning for those who may not have, the best knowledge on the public versus charter school situation and any House bills and Betsy DeVos's role. And then what I really want to do is, after you explain all of that to us, give us some kind of takeaways on what we can do to actually influence these things, because I feel it's really important for us in the community to, do what we need to do and have a voice and make our voice be heard when it comes to changing the administration and the policies that involve our school system. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you take it away, man, and go from there.
That's absolutely right. So how much time I got? Because we could talk about this for the next few hours.
Man, we're going to try to condense that into like 20, 15, 20, 25 minutes, man. We're going to try to make it work.
All right, I got you. So keep you rolling if we get caught up, because this is something, when we start talking, I can talk about this for hours, literally. But I'm going to back up real quick. So when you talk about, first of all, him, number 45 being reelected upon a platform of
education, basically, is what he was saying.
Redefining education in inner city. Well, first of all, he's digging his hole so deep, to him to even use that as a platform, it would be detrimental to him. First of all, with his appointment of DeVos to that position, was a major slap in the face to educators across the nation. As far as her track record, as far as her background with public education, with the knowledge base of being in a school system. She comes from the financial side of backing charter schools, which is a totally different governing board, which is a totally different structure. So that whole theory, that whole mindset is something totally left field than what we need in our public schools. Not saying all charter schools are bad, don't get me wrong, but that whole structure is just not the way that we're set up to do things with the public school system. I'm a proud public school system graduate from Ohio, Cincinnati Public Schools to be exact. I believe in the public schools education system across the nation. I believe we've got a whole lot of work to do, but I believe that it's leaving a whole generation of kids in the dark when it comes to a lot of different areas about being ready to just succeed in life. I'm not talking about graduate and going to college, just be ready to handle day-to-day instances, simple math, basic reading. We're leaving a lot of kids behind. You can make the case for minorities across the nation, and get me wrong, when you look at those numbers, that is the large amount. But the number one indicator of a kid not being successful in school today is poverty. And as we all know, poverty has hit across every nation, across every city in the U.S. Not nation, I said it wrong. Across every city, across every state in the U.S. right now. So when the face of poverty changes from that black kid, that Hispanic kid, to that white kid, and no matter where you go, poverty is that number one indicator. And until we have some policy in place to help districts and schools support that issue, we're going to have an issue forever.
Okay. So when you talk about the public versus charter schools situation, what is the main difference? Because my daughter, she started in public school, she's in a charter school now. I kind of understand that there's a lottery and everything to it. But for the listeners, what is the difference between the public school system and the charter school system?
Well, if you go back to its true inception, charter schools were initially established as an alternative to the public schools. And I say alternative not to compete with, but to offer something in excess of. Meaning, if the public schools within the neighborhood, I started my teaching career in Liberty City here in Miami. All right, so if I'm in Liberty City, I'm using it as a prime example because you're dealing with minorities, you're dealing with poverty, you're dealing with all the issues we're going to be talking about here today. So if I'm in Liberty City and all my schools are in a failing status, no matter what that's based on, if it's a school grade, if it's test scores, whatever the case may be, but if my school is not producing students that are ready to move on, reading at the grade level they should be, reading at the level period they should be, or even near their grade level, I have a major issue. So charter school inception really was to come in and say, hey, the public schools in this area is not working. We're going to offer an alternative program to motivate, to get kids involved, to keep kids engaged in the educational process. That may be a few years ago, before the whole STEM thing blew up and everybody wanted to be a STEM school, everybody wanted to be an art school or magnet school. They might have brought in a science charter school with a science curriculum or STEM in general. It might be the arts, it might be sports, like that. But
it's supposed to be one set curriculum because it's supposed to be one set curriculum for that charter school. It's not supposed to be like blanket or whatever.
It should not be exactly what that child could get in that elementary school that's right down the street. It should be something alternative. It shouldn't be a competitive that we're going to offer the same exact thing and ours is better. We're offering something different that can enhance the education of your child. So some schools do have the lottery system, which in essence, you can claim that there's still bias there, because how do you really know it's a lottery system? You're banking on the fact that somebody's telling you the truth, when actually somebody can be counting applications in the back and looking at ethnicity. They can be looking at social and economic status. They can be looking at any type of factor that could factor you out. So you're believing that it's going to be a lottery system, and you hope that it will be. And honestly, some are, but we know for a fact that there are a few that are not.
I got a random question.
Okay.
So, hey, you want to go? I can hold it.
Well, I'm gonna go to you in a second. I was gonna say that's one of the things that I like the most about my daughter's charter school is that it is it's a lot more challenging than the public school that she was at the prior year. They make them think a little bit more outside the box. They teach some of the same concepts, but they're exposing to them a lot of different things, especially when it comes to worldly, wisdom and things about different cultures or what have you. So I don't necessarily know if there is any type of STEM or science or whatever like program specifically for the school, but they do teach in a just a little bit more different manner. It's a little bit more challenging and everything, but I feel like I'm gonna let Art ask his question first, but then I want to get into what is the difference or what is holding the public school system from teaching a similar curriculum. But go ahead, Art. Go ahead, ask your question first.
Mine's kind of a tied tier. So one hand, I want to ask. You mentioned Liberty City and how the schools are all failing. What makes that a failing school? Is it the family situation living in, or is it the school? That's one question, and we'll hold that out. But the next one is, when I grew up and when I went to high school, and I was a public high school kid after 8th grade, my school, Bartram, had that same program, but it wasn't considered like charters. We just had like different schools. So the main building was where you get generic or general population, generals, math, science, everything was there. But then there were different buildings. So I went to the business building. There was an art and science building. There was a engineering building. And this is in high school. So it's kind of like you were able to go through a magnet program or a charter school, but still be in the public system, but specializing in that specific field. So what happened to that? Did that just die off?
So my school in Ohio in Cincinnati was very similar, about almost the same. We didn't have different buildings, just different wings within the same school. So same setup. That style, that method of teaching is really, I can't say outdated, but in order to spread out, because I can think of that school in particular. Kids came from all over the city to that location. Mm-hmm. What started to happen is you pull I say the best talent from over the city to one location, and the other schools suffer because you're pulling the top students from those locations. In that case, let's take around Liberty City. So you got Northwestern, you got Central, you got Booker T, who's not that far away. I'm trying to think everything else around there. There's a few more high schools in there. North Miami is nearby too, so kids have an option to go. But each school has their focus. So for instance, Northwestern, they always had some CTE programs, parent technical education programs. Like right now, Northwestern is the only school in the U.S. that still has their laundry. I can't think of it, the name of that program, but they actually have a laundry facility to take a dry cleaning program. So they're teaching a skill for kids who do not want to go, because face it, one thing we got in the trap in the U.S. in the trades, but it's not your old voc ed programs that used to be where all the kids who they knew or they thought weren't smart enough were going to get pushed in just to get a trade. Right. Voc ed programs today are more rigorous than some other coursework that you're going to get just going through 9th to 12th grade, just in a standard diploma. Like those kids are coming out of the old voc ed, which is now CTE, career and technical education courses. They're coming out with their AA degrees because they're doing dual enrollment at a college level, or they're coming out with the certifications that an adult would have, and making pretty much more than their teacher who was just teaching them in high school is making coming out of those programs. Wow. So it's a whole different aspect now. To jump back to what Brett was saying about the whole theory of why isn't public education adopting those ideals, because you have to realize one of the things that, and I don't know what type of school that is, but let's take a Montessori program, for example. If the charter school was a Montessori setup, then those teachers have been specifically trained in the Montessori style of teaching. And that's a total different mindset, a total different training that you would have to go through as a teacher, as an instructor, to hone your craft, to become an educator. Because there's a difference between the teacher and the educator. Educator is somebody who's invested in their craft. A teacher is somebody who's there day to day, whose job is just to pretty much get you through the course. BJ's personal opinion, we can argue sometime. B.Jones and UMiami.edu, if you want to debate that, I'll do that with anybody. But anyway,
that was a good breakdown. I will say, actually, though, that's a excellent way to kind of break that down and get people to understand the difference. And there are lots of, I'm sure all of us encounter many teachers in our, education that it's a huge difference in being able to find somebody who wants to educate is valuable.
Very valuable.
Yes. So to be an educator, it's a craft, and you have to hone your craft. You don't just finish the day you're done with teacher college and you pass the test. If you're not in continuous education, trying to hone your craft and make yourself better at what you do and learning the newest ways to get kids involved and adapting yourself, because face it, I started teaching back in 2004, 2005. If I taught the same way then, today that I did then, I'm shot myself in the foot. I'm done.
Very true.
And that's just over 12 years now. Just 12 years. And in a 12-year span, things have changed so much with technology integration, with just different style, with the style of learner that we have. I see it with my own kids. My kids don't learn the same way, and they could be in the same classroom, and I know they're not going to get the same thing from the teacher. Because their learning style is different.
Well, I was going to say, listeners, this applies outside of just being an educator. You yourself, in your career and in your goals, if you are not doing the same things as far as educating yourself, honing your craft, being thirsty to introduce yourself to the new ways and techniques that people are using to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, you're cheating yourself. You're losing out.
Very
Absolutely.
much so. That's in any field.
And I want to hit on going all the way back to Brett talking about poverty. So one of the things that we've had going on, especially in minority communities right now, is gentrification or regentrification.
Definitely.
And what a lot of people don't realize and talk about is that regentrification has been going on in the public school system for the longest time.
That was another thing. Go ahead.
Right. And it's a thing that's happening right now. So as we're going into these schools and we're putting in these programs, you have kids from the local communities that don't qualify to be in those programs or can't get into those magnet programs. And those kids are either getting displaced to other schools where they have less resources, or they have more of the traditional teachers that aren't educating. They're just teaching them the exam or the test they need to pass.
Oh, those exams, those tests.
Right. Which we won't get into that right now.
Well, testing, I ain't gonna lie, testing is needed because that's a whole nother aspect, but we won't go there right now.
Right. So you bring in kids from all these other cities and all these other places. You bring in the best of these other places, but then the people that should be their home school, they're now kind of pushed to the side because we have these other kids that we're dedicating resources to.
And that was a big point that I brought up to the doctor when we were in the office, because his big thing was, providing the choice to the parent. So the parent has a choice to send their child to a charter school that fits the needs of their child. But I'm like, okay, first of all, most charter schools that I know of are on the lottery system, or you gotta find a spot. So first of all, the infrastructure isn't even set up yet for that to be feasible. And then you're going to talk about what about the kid who just can't get to that charter school or doesn't make it in, or like you said, the gentrification of it. That's basically what you're doing to the education system. You're taking all of the talent, putting it in one space, or all of the kids who fit a certain description or look a certain way, putting them in one place and then leaving the others by the wayside, instead of taking and rehabilitating or resuscitating the education system, the public education system.
One of the drawbacks with accountability nowadays, and again, I'm all for accountability. My job is an accountability right now. There has to be accountability in the schools in order to help certain schools move. If not, they'll get left by the wayside like they have been in the past. And I can give you some examples of that. But when you talk about those kids, so what happens when Carol hit the nail on the head? You talk about gentrification within the schools. So they bring in these magnet programs or whatever, and it goes back to the same thing I was mentioning before. So you bring in a arts magnet, which is going to bring in artsy kids, and no matter where they come from, they can come to your school. And it's a whole magnet. It's a lottery program within the school. They can select their kids. Now, again, like you said, those are the kids who don't make the fit, get left out either in a general studies program within a high school, or they have to go to another place. Because really what they do is reconstitute the school a lot of time, which makes them able to be selective in their students. So what they're trying to do is bring in another group of kids to help boost up their grade, help boost up the stats within the school, so the accountability system is not have their magnifying glass on them looking down their backs at everything they do. So they're playing the game. Education, if anybody tells you it's not a game, every single day, like, you learn how to play the game. Bottom line. If somebody tells you any other different, they're lying to your face, or they don't know the game themselves and they need to get out. Bottom line.
Gotcha. So I got one more question, man, before we get into how us as parents or people in the community can start influencing, the education system to better fit our needs. There's a big myth, and I say myth lightly because it might actually be true, but you'll be able to debunk this or not. There's a big myth that the charter schools are actually much better than, the public schools, or that they perform much better than the public school system. Is this necessarily true?
You have cases where that may be true, then you have cases probably more so than not in the state of Florida. There's not. I got a prime example from today that just happened at the State Board of Education meeting here in Florida. So I'm not going to name the district within Florida because it's not about putting nobody in the spotlight.
We don't need any problems.
But we don't need to highlight it because it's an issue that they know what's going on and they're addressing it. So charter schools in the DC area in New York, in my opinion, have been established with a better foundation and are thriving better. Now, I'm not too familiar with many others around the nation. I'm sure there are great ones no matter where. There are great ones here in Miami, but I look at the one here in Florida that was talked about today. So in the state of Florida, every school, no matter if you're a public or a charter, Privates are out of the equation, but public and charter, they get a school grade at the end of the year based on test scores and a couple other factors within there, depending on what type of school they are, elementary, middle, or high. So this particular charter school had been a DFD, all right? So their history has been low performance. Now, they were bringing up, so as a charter school, the statute says that they were DDF. Statute says that the first F, you're brought back up before the State Board of Education, because the first F, you're supposed to be closed. You can, within the first 5 years, you can file for a waiver, and that waiver gives you actually 1 more year to prove yourself. So this school was a DDF charter school. And they're filling out their waiver this year as their first F. So they got up and pleaded a case of why they believe the recommendation was to not renew their charter. So basically the charter school would close down. The State Board of Education has the right to do that with charter schools. A lot of myth out there is the state of Florida cannot shut down a public school though. That's a district decision. Again, that's a whole nother topic and myth that's out there. But this individual charter school stood before the Board of Education, pleaded their case. The commissioner's recommendation was to not approve the waiver. So basically the charter school will be shut down for this coming school year. And somebody from the community got up, and this man had to driven 2-3 hours to come to this meeting to speak for 30 seconds. And he got up, and matter of factly, no emotion on his face, very bluntly just said, he supports the commissioner. He doesn't believe this charter school needs to be to receive the waiver, because if you look at all the other public schools in the area, they were all either A's, B's, or C's, and can offer a better than, and in almost all cases, a better education opportunity to the kids of the community than that charter that has 3 considered unsatisfactory grades of DDF. Wow. And the State Board of Education upheld that, the commissioner's recommendation. Charter was not renewed, and that school will be shut down officially as of today. Well, I guess the charter runs out by the end of the month. So basically, they will no longer exist. So in not all cases are they better. Are there some out there that are doing what they should be doing and doing right by kids? Yes. At the end of the day, if you're doing right by kids, I have no issue with you. But then you come in a whole nother issue of special education and providing service to ELL students, English language learners, especially here in Florida. That's a big issue. But there's certain things that they don't necessarily have to follow as a charter school that are not doing right by kids. So if your student has special needs, charter school may not be the best place for you. You may get the best services in the public school system. But again, that's a whole nother topic. Special ed could be a whole nother topic in itself.
Before we go on, Brett, I know you're about to pass on. I just want to ask one more quick, and this can just be a yes or no, myth or truth. Been told that charter schools are a business, and one day they can be here, and the other day they can just close down and take whatever things and just be gone. That's
truth. There were several here in Florida that have closed. The teachers show up the next day for work. They were there on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday show up for work, and there's a sign on the front door saying we're shut down. We're no longer in business. Wow. There's charter schools that I know for a fact from family members who work there. They showed up for school, showed up for work for their 2 weeks, and it was payday, and they said, "Oop, we don't got no money. We can't pay you this week."
Wow.
We don't know when we can pay you, but we expect you to come to work.
Wow.
So they had a choice to make. What did they believe that money was going to come in and pay them back and then pay them ongoing, or to walk away? In that case, my decision was to walk away.
Right.
Wow. That's tough.
So let's talk about something that we can give the viewers and the listeners. So for most schools, what can we as parents, uncles, aunts, grandmothers, grandfathers, what can we do to provide the best environment for our kids that are attending these schools?
First of all, everybody needs to be at the school. And again, we have this debate as educators often. What does an involved parent and involved family member look like? And that's different depending on every single household. If I'm a single father, I have 2 kids, involved me maybe just making sure that I have somebody at home that can help them finish their homework, I'm making sure they're getting fed, and I'm making sure they get there the next day. Because I'm upset, because the teachers are upset that I'm not there or visible as much, I need to be able to communicate whatever that is to them. What my schedule is, how I can support. But at the end of the day, you have to have a voice. You need to know what's going on. If that's an email, my biggest thing nowadays is if your school does not have, or your teacher doesn't have a social media platform.
Class Dojo.
Class Dojo was a savior this year. Last year at the school my kids were at. And if people out there don't know what it is, look it up. But I know, Paige, just in general, if your school doesn't have a Twitter account to keep parents updated, if your school doesn't have a Facebook page, you need to get with the times to update. Because I tell you one thing, everybody talking about parents don't have internet in the house, parents don't have all types of ways to communicate. But I bet you that they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook, there's some way to communicate with them. So if I need to send a message about parent night, then it's going to come down. I'm going to blast on all my social media. Outside of that, I also need to make sure that, let's put it like this. You have to realize that parents send the best that they have every single day, right? They're not keeping the good kids at home in some of the trouble schools that I work with. That's one thing we talk about. They're not keeping the good kids at home or sending the good kids to the school down the street just to send the bad kids to this school to tear it up, to have a bad day, to cause teachers to have situations where they can't handle. It's not the case. But parents need to be in communication constantly. Communication is the key word. If they're not in communication, and that may be a phone call, a note, a text message, whatever the case may be, these are little things that on a daily basis you have to be in touch with. And then you have to know your student as well. One of the things that we've gotten into is that, and I'm gonna sound like an old head right now, but more so that whatever a kid says is taken for face value when they come home and tell you as the parent versus what the teacher says. Instead of, and the parent goes to the school and flips out and wants to fight a teacher, fight the principal, do all this stuff without even going and asking what's going on, what's not. And I'm not saying that all kids are lying or like that, but you can't just take for face value every single thing that comes out of the mouth of your kids.
I think that
I know my kids too, and I know I can't do that. I know my own kids.
Again, though, I think that's something that as our listeners and as us as people in society, that's something we need to take into account. Period. That too often we get caught up in, taking one side's word before getting the whole story. Really is the biggest point of it, that especially in situations like that with your child and an adult, it's okay to, instead of deciding to go, postal, to find out, the full story from someone who, at least should assume has, a stronger mindset and a better way to account what happened and to kind of bring the whole thing into light and to give a better perspective on what happened.
Absolutely. I could tell y'all stories for days, and y'all wouldn't believe half of the stories that I tell you, like, that really didn't happen in this school. And
that sounds like a new segment. Like you just drop one of those.
Before you go ahead and drop one of those, man, we definitely want to take the time to thank you for all of the knowledge you just dropped on us on that segment on education, man. If we have any listeners that wanted to reach out to you, whether they're in the state of Florida or not, and they had questions for you as far as how they can impact the education system or help their child or whatever, how can they reach you?
The best thing is just shoot me an email. It's b.jones@umiami.edu. That's the best email. I get it. I'm on email, phone constantly. But I'm always ready to talk about education. And parents out there, if you're listening, I mean, seriously, you just need to, first of all, one thing, don't go in the attitude was this not the way I did it, because that's not the way we're teaching now. And realize that things have evolved, things have changed. So when Carol asks about what can we do, one thing is just be willing to listen first, and also know who your school board members are, know who the people around the community who have the most voice are, the pastors, the business people, whoever has the most voice, the most pull. Because if something needs to change, somebody needs to speak up about it. And not all the time do we have to wait for somebody to step up and do that. Sometimes you have to be the person to initiate it. Because I'll be the first person to tell you, even in my current job, I'll meet parents and I'll tell them, look, you need to go complain. You need to call the news team. You need to call the radio. You need to call what's going on. People need to know what's going on. Now, I can't do that myself, but you're a parent here. You can do that. Make that happen.
When did that change?
The squeaky wheel gets the most oil.
I don't remember my mom ever having to come up to my school and talk to someone or like she was involved with my letter I brought home. But I don't remember, even in high school, that was just, there wasn't much. But like, when did it have to be that in order for things to move forward, the parent had to be there?
Was your school that bad? I'm about to say it's more dependent on
that. Could be it. Okay,
that's a huge determining factor of if the school is not performing well, and the teachers and the administration are not doing what they have to do. Just like DJ said, it's understanding that your voice is powerful, and the fact that just bringing it to light is a big factor.
So we're talking Southside High versus Breakfast Club.
East Side High?
East Side.
Thank you.
East Side.
East Side.
What Ian just said is totally correct, because one thing you gotta know, no matter what the research is, no matter what goes on in the schools, if the right administrator is not in that building, backed up by the right educators, and not just teachers, educators in that building to reach every kid and have the passion to reach every kid, backed up by the students who are there who have been motivated by the parents, who are then backed by the community. It's that it takes a community to raise a child effect in the school, and people have lost sight of that. Now it's me against you, and don't say nothing to my kid. The neighbors don't know. I don't know my neighbors. I don't really care about my neighbors. I don't care if my neighbor's kid is in the same class. We don't talk about that stuff no more. Wow. So get involved in your PTAs. Know what's going on in the school. If you can't get involved in PTA, at least be on the mailing list and know what's going on. Bring up things. Argue with stuff. Don't just take everything for face value. If they tell you they're going to do something next year and they're going to implement uniforms and that's something you don't believe in, go talk about it. Don't just take it. I mean, that's a random thing, but
yes, it's very important, man.
The PTAs, there's a lot of. Well, I was going to say that's where a lot of old mean girls graduate to, is the PTA. So make sure to infiltrate those and make sure that y'all conquer the mean girls. I'm sorry to cut you off, Kay.
No problem. The last thing I was going to say is that the office of President of the United States is not the only thing that you vote for. So remember that you can vote for your local officials as well, who determine a lot of who gets placed in the school systems and things like that. So please remember that.
Don't just go out every 4 years, every 6 months, every 8 months when they have that vote. You need to be out and know what's going on. When they have school board elections, you need to be out there and know who you're voting for, because trust me, there's a major shakeup in Miami-Dade last year when a new person was put on the school board. He overturned somebody who had been there for years. And when that happened, like, you saw the change happen in other areas because of the work he was doing in his area. Big shout out to Steve Gallen. I ain't gonna keep that. Big shout out to Steve Gallen here in Miami-Dade Public School.
That's what's up. I think that's something that people don't realize is just like you said, when it starts with that first drop in the bucket, that it allows that change in how much it's just like government. School systems just like government, where there are a lot of old school mentality and people who have been there forever and are just trying to do the status quo because they're looking to get that pension. And it's good to have, new people, that new fresh thinking and understanding that we cannot go off the same rules and strategies that we did 20, 30 years ago, because it's going to keep us in the, distant place that we are in the nation, and, as far as the world in education.
Correct.
There it is, gentlemen. Man, I hate to cut y'all off, man, because the discussion has just been so great. But we gotta keep it moving here on the 13th floor.
We're gonna come back to this later on. We got many more topics to talk about, man.
It seems like it. It seems like
it.
But yes,
in the beast.
Worry for Namdi now, man. This is crazy.
Yeah, man. But yeah, we going to you next, Faison, man. We got to go to Art's Corner, man. What you got for us?
So this is a week where I am home alone. Daddy's taking care of little one, and I'm doing this thing, trying it out called sleep training. And I guess there's different methods to it. And before you get the hate mail of how inhumane it is, I am trying the cry it out method. Right now he is fine, and as we are taping this right now, I am monitoring his sleep because I know he went to bed way too easy. So it's going to be a super tough night tonight. But I just want to put out there, because we know we have some dads here in a group that went through this many years ago or going through it now. What's your thoughts on the cry it out, and why is it easier for us as the dads to say, just cry, we're good, versus the mom who's like, oh, my baby, I can't listen to him.
I'm about to say, exactly. None of us will be able to tell you why females, are not able to understand. Hey, look, my biggest thing has always been, if there was no physical harm done to them or no mental harm, like somebody deliberately trying to hurt them, just like, R.I.P. Miss Sweet Georgia Brown, but ain't nobody got time for that. I do not have any time to get emotionally invested in a child, crying or whining over, insignificant things at the end of the day. It is time to go to bed. I understand that they would prefer to be held all night. I would too. But it doesn't happen. Instead of crying, what I do? I go to sleep.
Little spoon.
Like this one, who's trying to sneak in and get in on the 13th floor, who's supposed to be asleep. What's going on, bro?
What's up, man? There it is. Our first guest appearance.
Exactly. Nah, actually our third.
Everybody, this is Kellen. Kellen, this is all the fellas. But go ahead, Faison.
So yeah,
we got Nia too. Look at that. Hey. Real dads around here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Real dads.
All day.
I was thinking. I'm just.
That's the number one job, man.
Go to bed. So, and I'm just thinking about everything. So I'm kind of like, I'm trying to figure out this. It's not the now process. It's going to happen. It's 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock where I know he's going to need to cry out for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And I'm looking at him. You're going to sleep. So am I. That's fine with it. But I got 5 days all to get this thing in before the wife comes back. So I'm hoping that I can train him good and get him ready.
I pray for you, because exactly, she's going to come back and totally disregard if he wakes up one time, and it doesn't matter when it is. Exactly.
EJ, don't do it. Don't do it. You listen to this podcast. Do not totally break the mode.
First off, what kind of demon are you having my baby be crying all night long? How dare you? You are going to be sleeping downstairs.
We got one in the way.
It is not good.
All right, he's in another room, or in a room with y'all?
No, same room right now.
Okay, so that's the next thing. You need to move that crib.
Yeah, that needs
out the other room.
We're getting a 3-bedroom. 3 bedrooms coming in September. So the move's happening, because I gotta get ready for baby number 2. I can't have him and number 2 in the same room. So I'm trying to get him ready, because I need him to be sleeping while number 2 is crying up. And if not, they're gonna be in the same room battling each other out. To death.
Nah, what? Sometimes though, they kind of will cancel each other out. They be able to have that like mental baby talk of like, at least we here together. We in this jail cell together. I'm gonna throw you some. I'm gonna throw you some cookies. You throw me your bottle. Let's just go ahead and negotiate.
Yeah, man. The biggest thing, man, is gonna be the consistency. So you're gonna have to sit EJ down and be like, look, it worked for 5 days. That means it's gonna work for 6. So let's just keep it going, man.
It doesn't matter. All she's doing is
that's
crying.
I see it all the time.
Sit EJ down. Good luck.
Last night we tried it for the first time, and she was still here, and she was like, hey, you didn't warn me we were going to start. I was like, well, why wouldn't I start now? You're leaving tomorrow. Let's get it going.
You didn't warn me. That is exactly. I didn't warn you.
If I warned you, you would try to talk me out of it. I ain't got time for that.
There would have been a conversation. It would have just, no, you can just wait till I leave. I'll be gone by the next day. And, that's
exactly. That's my corner. That's what I wanted to talk about this week. Usually it's some crazy topic, but this time it was actually, it's my life. My corner is my life, and today this is my corner.
Trust me. There's certain stages the kids grow through that as adults you realize the hit is like Thank God I got this time back. Going to sleep on their own is one. When they can wash their own butts. When they can wipe their own butts. And when they can get their own breakfast in the morning.
Oh man, I'm trying.
Right.
Listen, we ain't even gonna go down there. But
get you back so much time in your life. You're like, I thought I was going crazy for all
I will leave both of the, Carol, Art, I will leave both that gym of, getting them dressed too, getting themselves dressed. That's another one that you can add to the list.
We're gonna jump into that on the next podcast.
Yes,
everything y'all just said.
I would tell you, it is valuable to one of the things I love so much about my daughter, Taylor, shout out, is the fact that she has always been on the track of independence, and even though she's very respectable and all that good stuff, she still has always been like the first. She's got a pretty much her twin cousin who's only a couple months older than her, that she still was getting dressed before him. She was be able to feed herself, able to get up. Just the same thing DJ said about the breakfast. That all of those, I will leave y'all with those gyms. Work on that early, encourage them, allow them to do. Don't get so upset on the I can do it. Go ahead and let them try and work them through getting them to do it, to make them do it, because trust, there's nothing worse than having to be that helicopter parent and always doing stuff. Don't do it. Please don't do it.
What you got, Kenny? What's Asher? What's going on? What's happening over there?
Man, I was just gonna say, babies they're so intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
You may not
and dumb.
What?
Ladies and gentlemen.
No, there's some dumb moments. There are some very dumb moments.
You gonna beat your
They're
head?
learning art. They don't know no better.
That was great.
Here's the thing.
Let's bring it back.
Let's talk about the intelligence part.
I can't believe you just said that.
So Namdi probably knows that his mom is not there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's going to conduct himself totally
He sure is.
Absolutely.
Because he's going to know, man, Dad's not going to care if I get up and I start making noise. So I might as well stay asliep.
Yep. As soon as mommy come back, it's going to be a whole nother thing.
Oh.
Yeah, they can smell,
Ooh, wait a minute. Mommy's not only here, she's in the room, right?
Yep.
Hey, Carol, I don't know how you're gonna do it, but yeah, it's your time, man. What do you got a nugget for the people, bro?
Yeah, man. Come on, man.
Wrap it up.
If you got a bet on me. Come on, man.
There it is. I love
Bet on
it.
black.
Oh,
Yes.
7-Eleven, 70 back on
Coach
Little
K,
Joe.
bring us home, baby.
Hey,
Last huddle.
I'm going to take it back to teachers versus educators. And we talked about that in the platform of schools, but there are so many other platforms that you can apply that to. So you can be a father or a mother versus a parent, be a supervisor versus a leader. So get out there and get involved in your different areas that you're in and find out, what are you developing people, or are you just helping people to maintain in their current capacity? Think about that. And once you figure that out, let us know. If you need some help, we can give you some direction.
Here, on the 13th floor, baby.
There it is. Hey, be fresh, man. Before we get up out of here, man, I drop all of these. You can listen here, there, and wherever. First jam of the week, baby. What you got for us this week?
Again, I thank my Instagram followers, my Facebook friends, all my fan page, the legions and legions of the fresh makers out there. We love and respect you. But this morning, after my actually midday workout, I went ahead and had the opportunity to listen to this new Damon Marley tune called "Living It Up." I'm gonna go ahead and drop it on the remix. Well, I guess we can try to drop it right here through the microphone. Give y'all a little taste. Hey.
Man, I love the island vibes, man. I swear I love the island vibes.
Always R.I.P. to my dog, my fallen soldier, Big Bang. That island vibe stay with me.
All day, every day, baby.
Hey,
Grooving. That is your fresh jam of the week, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
You can
yes,
check it out. What's that?
yes.
That Damian Marley, Junior Gong.
Damon Marley, Junior Gong, living it up. Y'all make sure to go check it out. I have it on title. You know, I support Jay-Z by Black Baby.
Easy. There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the show, man. New format, new 13th floor here. Remember, you can check us out on the iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Plays, YouTube, SoundCloud, Facebook. We going live every week, man. You can check us Fridays. We drop the podcast every Friday. So stay tuned with us. Next week.
Comments. We need your comments.
Please talk to us.
Yes,
We want to talk to y'all. We want to engage, not just talk to. We want to engage with y'all. We want to know what you would like to hear us talk about. We want to know more hot topics. We are here. We're ready. We got microphones. They nice. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Shout out to my sister-in-law, Rennie Ingram. She is the only person that listened last week and actually attempted to count the number of sows. So by default, we will be sending her a Fledgeology t-shirt.
How many did she get to?
Well, I was going to say what was awesome is the fact that the souls that we dropped was actually 13th because we are on the 13th floor. So that was actually an Easter egg. It wasn't, we was doing that on purpose.
There it is, man. Make sure you check us out again next week. We're going to be talking about financial fledging within our community. Art's going to be he's going to be leading that discussion, man, to give us some tips, tricks, and we're going to get into that. So definitely check us out next week. But
and very serious before you go, I want to put out an APB on T.I.'s voice. So everybody here,
please.
T.I.'s voice anywhere.
Told you, man, he got a foot halfway in the door.
I think what happens.
No.
That top button can choke you.
How much time do we have? Just let me.
Man, you got about 30 seconds.
On that note, we'll be saying.
We don't have no more
like the whole.
time, but don't worry, one of us will get involved in your school.
Wow.
No, man, like the whole show, it was really just it was phenomenal, like the education part of the show itself, man. Like I felt like a listener. You know what I mean? I felt like a viewer.
But leave it in the comments, buddy.
And like that, hey, there it is.
You look like a viewer too.
Hey, man.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. We are done here on the 13th floor where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are amazing.
Amazing. Now is your time.
Now I can go catch Game of Thrones. Let's get it.
Howard was dope.
It was dope. It was exceptionally dope. I'm glad my dog about to get up out of the